All right, we're live and good to go. Thank you, Vice President Coker. Good morning. I will call this meeting of SUNY Student Assembly Executive Committee to order at 6:06 p.m. on May 2nd, 2026. Secretary Richter, please read the meeting notice.
Notice is hereby given that the Student Assembly of the State University of New York is calling for a meeting of the Executive Committee pursuant to Article XVII, Title D of the Board of Trustees policy on May 2nd, 2026 at 6 p.m. This meeting is being recorded for record-keeping purposes and webcast for students and members across SUNY.
Thank you. Please confirm the members present.
The following members are present: President Rallis, Vice President Coker, Secretary Richter, Representative Vega, Representative Kelly Haller, Representative Marrero Kepis, Representative Burgos Farnan, Representative Pastwick, Representative Bajulai, Representative Fanter, Representative Lau, Representative Sanford.
Thank you. Would the Vice President please confirm that we have a quorum?
Uh, Confirmed. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll begin with the approval of the minutes from our March 26th, 2026 meeting of the Executive Committee. The meeting minutes were circulated. Does anyone have any amendments or concerns? Hearing none, I will accept the motion to approve the minutes of the March 26th, 2026 meeting of the Executive Committee with unanimous consent. Do I have a first?
I'll
First
second.
by Representative Paswick, second by Marrero. Thank you. We will now move to the consideration. Any dissents? Seeing none, the meeting minutes have been approved. We will now move to the consideration of the resolutions. Would Secretary Richter please read the resolution 14?
Resolution 25-2614 EC, Senate resolution calling on Governor Kathy Hochul and New York State Legislator to increase capital funding in FY 26/27 from 595 million over the next 5 years to 10 billion over the next 5 years.
Thank you. I will now entertain a motion to adopt the resolution as presented. Do we have a first?
So moved.
Moved. Do we have a second? Seconded. We have a first and a second has been made. Is there any discussion on the resolution?
For this resolution, I appreciate the idea of asking for more funding, but I think it's an unrealistic request considering the jump from 595 million to 10 billion over the next 5 years. I don't think that's something that would ever end up getting approved by the Board of Trustees or the New York government. So I'll be voting nay on this.
Do we have any context to the current budgeting scenario to provide some context also to this resolution?
President Wallace?
Yeah, what I can say is we're obviously the budget negotiations are still happening. We're sort of at the point where we've done our part, as has everyone else who's doing the advocating. Now it's the three people in the room. But that said, as for the numbers, the 10 billion over the next 5 years is definitely wishful thinking, but it's definitely what we would like to see. I think if I were proposing a resolution, I'd be talking about just a broader multi-year capital plan. 10 billion probably isn't going to happen. At the same time, by putting forward a very high number, showing what our need is, it never hurts. And I do think the goal is to get more than we have right now. So it's up to you guys, but I hope that we can see $10 billion over the next X number of years eventually.
I will say I don't write the resolution. I suspect where that number came from is that's just what the deferred maintenance number is. And the rhetorical effect of asking for it rather than we're asking for $1 billion, which covers 1/10 of our deferred maintenance. That I don't know to what extent that's effective. And this is just a way to start a conversation about asking more money and justifying the reason we're asking for money is because of this $10 billion in deferred maintenance. So I think as a numbers, it makes sense. Is it going to happen? No, but you don't ask for half of a lifeboat. You ask for as much as you need and then work with whatever's given to you. So that's all I have to say about the number. Sorry.
Any further comments or discussions? Hearing no further discussion, we will now proceed to a vote. Secretary Richter, can you please call the roll?
President Morales, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice President Coker, how do you vote?
Aye.
Secretary Richter, I vote aye. Representative Vega, how do you vote?
I abstain.
Representative Kelly Holler, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Marrero Kepis, how do you vote? Abstains. Representative Burgos Farnan, how do you vote?
I'm also an abstention.
Representative Pastwick, how do you vote?
Abstain.
Representative Bajulai, how do you vote?
I'm gonna abstain.
Representative Fanter, how do you vote?
Nay.
Representative Lau, how do you vote?
Abstain.
Representative Sanford, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Yevon, how do you vote?
Abstain.
Okay, just give me one sec here.
Thank you, Secretary Richter. Once you have the results, please read the results.
All right, there are 4 yeses, 7 abstains, and 2 nays.
Secretary Richter, can you please?
4 yeses, 2 abstains, or no, 7 abstains, my bad, and 2 nays.
Give me one sec. Give me one second to read the results. Thank you. So in a vote of 4 to 7, the motion carries and the resolution is adopted. We will now move on to Resolution 15. Secretary Richter, please read the resolution.
Resolution 25-2615 EC, resolution to expand student activity fee, SAF, remuneration. I can't say that. Eligibility to educational club leadership.
Thank you. I will now entertain a motion to adopt the resolution as presented. Do we have a first?
In the chat.
So moved. Oh, I'll second.
A motion has been made and seconded. So is there any discussion on the resolution?
If you don't mind, I will go first. I was sitting with Kyle at the essay as we talk about this. So the crux of this is he wants to make it so the student activity fee can be used to pay stipends to people in clubs. So the presidents, VPs, secretaries, treasurers, and other cabinet and e-board members of like clubs. I don't think this is an appropriate use of the student activity fee, and SUNY agrees it has barred doing this for a long time. I don't think it's appropriate, and I don't think it's a great way to burn or limited political capital with SUNY. The context for him is they started this Bluebird News Network a year ago, and then he decided it was a lot of work, so he wanted to start being paid for this club that he started less than a year ago. So I'll be voting against it. I encourage you to do the same.
Just a thought. I also spoke to Kyle, and the Hutchonian at Hudson Valley, they're paid. I think the point he's trying to get across is that their newspaper, they're not being paid. Now, if they want to do it by the student activity fee, I don't know. I'm not going to comment on that. But I think the point is that he wants the editors of the newspaper to get compensated for their work. So I think that was the main idea. Now, like I said, if he wants the student activity fee that him getting paid is a question that's higher than my pay grade. I think that the student activity fee needs to be used in appropriate ways. And I don't really know if this would be appropriate or not. I mean, it's a newspaper, so I mean, it's not like they're using student activity fee money to go to Dubai, right? I digress. Ben, you have your hand up.
Hello, everyone. All right. So, for, currently, I am on the executive board for the UB Student Association. We oversee over 200 student clubs, and this recent cycle, we've gotten around 50 new club applications. And if hypothetically we were to pay and give stipends to each club leader, first off, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of student activity money that's being used to clubs, and the whole purpose of a club is to bring a group of people together to share a certain interest, hobby, certain culture, and it brings people together. In addition, we have here at UB and as many DGI schools like Binghamton, Albany, and Stony Brook, we have a lot of different clubs that have a lot of different needs. Some schools have engineering clubs that want to travel abroad for a competition. Some clubs are sports clubs wanting to compete in nationals for their league. Some clubs are big cultural clubs that require a lot of money to host cultural events. And there are a lot of small clubs that are very niche who don't really meet up a lot of time and they don't meet up much in the semester. So another thing is I think this resolution is quite flawed because as a club leader, you're in it because you care about the community you strive to serve. Also, another thing I like to add on is that how would you measure hypothetically paying each different club a different amount of money because like I said at UB there and many other big schools as well, there are clubs who meet maybe 2 or 3 times a semester with like 10 people that show up at most. And you get other clubs who consistently hit over 100 attendees each event, and they host weekly to bi-weekly events. And the people who do the back end logistics of that, they put in a lot of time and a lot of effort. So then, hypothetically, if we were to pass this resolution, wouldn't it be down the road, maybe in a year or two down the road, it could be possible that you get an executive board officer of a big club complaining about unfair compensation compared to, let's say, a smaller club that don't require as much responsibilities for the role to also get paid the same amount. So personally, for me, I'm against this. And as club leaders, it's up to the club leader themselves to host willingly how much effort they want to put in to the event or the club that they strive to serve. Thank you.
I think we need to talk to Kyle, and I think this is a SUNY Empire thing and not a SUNY thing. I think that if they want to get paid, it should be SUNY Empire paying them as editors of the SUNY Empire newspaper. So I agree that I think SUNY should, stay out of it. But and SUNY is saying, you know what, what kind of power do we have to be paying to let editors of newspapers get paid? It's not, not really our job. I mean, we can advocate for it, but it's really up to the administration of SUNY Empire.
Thank you, Representative. For the sake of like efficiency and time, I'm going to start yielding floors for discussion in the order of I see the hands being raised. Representative Burgess Fernand.
I think Tavon's hand was up first, to be honest, and it was up longer. If I can yield my time.
Yeah. You can yield your time. Perfect. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I encourage you all to vote against this resolution. Um, so at Empire, Kyle, is the president of 3 different clubs, and it's a resolution that he has come to us with before, and we have turned it down. And it's not just him, but there are also other people who are present. They formed these new clubs, and because we have this huge SAF fund, everybody has eyes on the money and how to get it in their pocket. So vote no against this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Fernand.
I guess I have kind of a question because at Morrisville, like we have our organizations. Obviously, it seems like it's more of a club, but even in the wording of the resolution, it noted organizations. And some of the organizations that we have on campus include our like campus radio station and campus newspaper. And in their constitution, they have like a set stipend, and they do have to like fill out like paperwork similar to that of our student government and the stipends that we receive as being an officer or on the executive board of our student government. But all of their funds, and I don't know if I'm going to get us in hot water right now because it sounds like there is obviously regulations around this. But this has been going on since I've been around. But they do have to be approved by the e-board. So like our student government e-board for us to compensate that, but that is built into their budget, which is clearly, distributed from our student government or student activity fees rather. So I guess I was kind of like, this is kind of weird to me to hear you guys say that. If anyone could provide some clarity about the specific like regulations.
Thank you. Chief of Staff Albaradi.
Yeah, I mean, I just had a comment on overall, I think logistically this wouldn't even be feasible if you were to pay club leaders because there is no professional staff oversight that could distribute hourly wages or stipends to club leaders. You can't have the student government fiscal agent or HR, whatever format they use to properly do that for all the clubs. I think the more proper format, at least in this specific situation, where the student newspaper is going through a campus's career center and trying to get stipends for experiential learning opportunities and internship opportunities, but I don't think that it should be applicable for club leaders to be paid. Student government leaders get paid because they responsibly distribute the student activity fee.
Thank you. Representative Paswick.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I don't support this at all. At Geneseo, we have a merit-based payment system, and club and organizations, their leaders on their executive boards can apply for these merit awards. They're called merit awards. And it is an agreement between us, our campus auxiliary service, and our foundation board. And it's not fee money being directly given to club leaders. And I believe, and I'm looking at the agreement that I had just signed right now as Geneseo's SA president with our campus auxiliary service, we're not allowed to do this. So even if this was passed, like we at Geneseo would not be able to do this with contracts that we are agreeing to.
Thank you. Representative Vega.
Hi, I would just like to offer the community college side of this. We already have very limited funds when it comes to our student activity fee in the first place. And to issue a stipend for our club leaders would just not be possible. Even for Broome community colleges, we are on like the more fortunate side of the community colleges, and after speaking with as many people as I have about this resolution, it's, while I understand the intent and the love behind it, it's just not feasible for us.
Thank you. Vice President Coker.
I'd like to motion to move into a voting period.
Thank
Second.
you. There's a motion to move us into voting, and there's a second. Secretary Richter, please call the roll.
President Relis, how do you?
Into moving into voting? Seeing none, Secretary Richter, please call the roll.
President Relis, how do you vote?
Nay.
President or Vice President Coker, how do you vote?
Nay.
Secretary Richter, I will also say nay. Representative Vega, how do you vote?
Nay.
Representative Kelly Holler, how do you vote?
I'm going to abstain from this vote.
Representative Marrero Kepis, how do you vote?
Nay.
Representative Burgess Farnan, how do you vote?
Abstain.
Representative Pastor, how do you vote?
Nay.
Representative Bajulai, how do you vote?
Nay.
Representative Fanter, how do you vote?
Nay.
Representative Lau, how do you vote?
Nay.
Representative Sanford, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Duram, how do you vote? Representative Duram, how do you vote? Representative Yevon, how do you vote?
Nay.
Give me one.
While he's doing that, for the record, aren't we voting on ending discussion?
No, there was no dissent to the motion to move into discussion, so we didn't have to vote on it.
Okay, there are 12 nays, 2 abstains, 0 yeses.
In a vote of 0-12-2, the motion does not carry and the resolution is not adopted. Moving on, we'll move on to Resolution 16. Secretary Richter, please read the resolution.
Resolution 25-2616 EC, establishing a portrait of a healthy SUNY student.
Thank you. I will now entertain a motion to adopt the resolution as presented. Is there a first?
Motion.
A motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the resolution?
Hi. Oh wait. Hi guys. This resolution was brought by David and I, and it's just like redefining what SUNY calls like an healthy student. When we kind of developed this resolution, I wasn't only looking at residential students, but also online and commuter students because some, sorry, let me regroup. Because when I was looking at it, I see like residential students get more access to like a couple of things compared to like, even though it's open to every SUNY student, I see residential students are kind of like prioritized more. But this is just like redefining what like SUNY calls are like healthy students, and there's a model following it. It's like therapy and mental health. It's accessible to everybody. Everybody's included, and it's like, yeah, yeah. Any questions? Sorry, guys. Do I have any questions?
Any questions or discussions on the resolution? Please raise your hand.
I'm open to discussions. I would like to hear what like you think about it, honestly.
Representative Stanford?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was just reading through the resolution and I understand that it gives this Thrive framework, but I'm not sure I understand what it is you're actually asking the SUNY system as a whole to actually do or change that it's not doing currently.
It's not like changing anything. It's just putting like a framework to like what SUNY calls like a healthy student. But I feel like it's kind of like, hold on, let me like think about this. It's like I'm not asking for like change to anything, just putting like a framework to what SUNY already calls like a healthy student. And it's just encompassing everything and making sure that everybody is included necessarily. I stay on campus. I'm an RA. I deal with a lot of freshman students. I see like more like priority kind of to like freshman students compared to like commuters and online students. So right now, this tribe student is just redefining what SUNY already has and putting in like a proper framework and making sure that everybody is included necessarily. Do you understand what I'm saying or no? You have a question. I'm open to hear. Wait. You still don't understand. Yeah, it's just like I'm not changing anything SUNY as. I'm just developing a framework that encompasses everything together and just having like a whole tribe. Because if you look at what the tribe model is all about, it's just therapy and mental health. It's putting everything in a big breakdown and making sure it's like more structured. Do you still have any questions? Oh no. Do you have any?
I'm gonna ask you, letting me yield the floor. Chief of Staff El Baroudi.
I would honestly, looking at the resolution, advise to amend it to be addressed to Cheryl Hamilton and SUNY because this is, I believe it is under her purview to look at basic needs, to look at student health, and it could just be a form of advice for that framework to say, hey, this is how we should be addressing our VPs of student affairs. This is how we should look at student health on all our campuses.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate
If
it.
that was a motion, I'll second that.
Yeah.
President Rallis?
That it doesn't need a motion. We'll just make sure that when we pass this on, and we'll work with the incoming board to do that, that we direct it in that direction.
Thank you, President Rallis. Any Vice President Coker?
Not a motion, just a suggestion to the sponsor, co-sponsor. Potentially think about adding financial wellness into this structure. UAlbany has implemented a network called Thrive, not following this structure, but coincidentally also called Thrive, and financial wellness is wrapped up into it. They've done a lot of work on helping students understand FAFSA and taxes. And I think that's a good point to have in this like overall well-being for students. But just a point to consider.
Yeah, I like that, and we would work in it and like change it and include that into the model. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on the resolution? Hearing no further discussion, we will now proceed to a vote. Would the secretary please call the roll?
President Morales, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice President Coker, how do you vote?
Yes.
Secretary Richter, how do you vote? I will vote aye. Representative Vega, how do you vote?
Aye.
Representative Kelly Holler, how do you vote?
Yeah.
Representative Marrero Kefis, how do you vote? Representative Burgos Farnan, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Pastwick, how do you vote?
Aye.
Representative Bajulai, how do you vote?
Can I abstain since it's my resolution? Yeah, I will abstain.
Representative Fancher, how do you vote?
Aye.
Representative Lau, how do you vote?
Aye.
Representative Sanford, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Duram, how do you vote? Representative Yevon, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, give me 1 sec here. All right, it is 12 in the affirmative, 1 abstain, and 1 negative.
Thank you, Secretary Richter. In a vote of 12-1-1, the motion carries and the resolution is adopted. Secretary Richter, can you please read Resolution 17?
Resolution 25-2617 EC, resolution supporting interfaith dialogue, religious accessibility, and equitable resource allocation across the State University of New York.
Thank you. I will now entertain a motion to adopt the resolution as presented.
Motion.
A motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the resolution?
I'm sorry. Does anyone have any questions about the resolution? Oh, no. I can basically explain what the resolution is and why we came up with that. So, over Ramadan, Muslim students found it difficult to actually get food for Ramadan and also pray because the interfaith space that was easily accessible to them was closed and it was transferred to a different building. So they had to have the interfaith space in the library. And then we kind of looked around and I also found out that we have a lot of international students, particularly from Nepal and SUNY Brockport, and they never celebrate any of their holidays. They don't have access to prayers or anything. So we sat down and thought about this resolution. Why don't we have a space where everybody can practice their own religion and they can have access to resources they need to practice their religion? Be it Christian, Muslim, Hindu, you have the space on SUNY campuses to practice your own religion. I know some schools they have the interfaith space, but the interfaith space has been I would say particularly has been dominated by one type of religion and other people feel like they don't have access to the interfaith space. So this resolution is one, calling for an accessible is interfaith space, and when there are particular holidays, the dining should be able and willing to provide food for that. And then conversations and peaceful dialogue should be encouraged on campuses about particular religions, and people should be open to listen. Does anyone have any questions?
Sorry, quick, I didn't see anyone else's hand up, so I was just unmuting, sorry. With this resolution, as I'm further skimming it again, is there anything that talks about being able to promote these spaces or any existing spaces? Because I feel like that's an issue on our campus, that there is a space, but it is not promoted well, so it doesn't make it very accessible, although it exists.
Oh, yeah. It's maybe it's not in it. Let me open it. But yeah, you should also be able to promote these spaces. And if a decision is to be made about those spaces, the students should be conducted, because that was one big problem we had in SUNY Rockport. They said the interfaith space was going to be open for people to have access to, and towards the end of the semester, it was closed down, and they said, you have to move to a whole different space. It was a whole problem with the Muslim students, the Christians, and then come to find out the Jews don't have access, and then the Hindus, the international students, they're already struggling to adapt and survive in a whole different country, could not even like practice their own religion. So yes, the space should be promoted. There should be space for everybody.
Thank you. Any further discussions or comments on the resolution? Hearing no further discussion, we will now proceed to a vote. Would the secretary please call the roll?
President Rillis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice President Coker, how do you vote?
Yes.
Secretary Richter, I will vote in the affirmative. Representative Vega, how do you vote? Representative Vega, how do you vote? I will keep moving down. Representative Kelly Holler, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Maria Kepis, how do you vote? Representative Burgos Farnan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Representative Pastor, how do you vote?
Aye.
Representative Bajula, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Fanter, how do you vote?
Aye.
Representative Lau, how do you vote?
Yeah.
Representative Sanford, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Duram, how do you vote? Representative Yevon, how do you vote?
Yes.
All right, Representative Vega, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay, give me one sec. All right, there are 12 in the affirmative, 1 abstained, and 1 nay.
Thank you, Secretary Richter. In a vote of 12 to 1 to 1, the motion carries and the resolution is adopted. Secretary Richter, please read the title for Resolution 18.
Resolution 25-2618 EC, expended support for OER, open educational resources.
Thank you. Now I will entertain a motion to adopt the resolution as presented. A motion has been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion on the resolution? Representative Sanford?
So reading it over, this is a resolution that seems to be primarily focused on openly available educational resources. The reason I'm saying this is we've had in my 3 years of SA, this is now the third resolution we've had on this. We are repeating our work a lot. I agree with the thrust of it, but rather than making a new resolution every year, I think just following up on the previous ones and asking if there's been progress to it might be a more productive use of our time. Just one thought.
Were the other resolutions that said the similar thing, like the exact same, or was it all different asks?
They were all, to the best of my knowledge, all similar asks were encouraging SUNY to adopt these open resources to the extent practicable. So, and then various justifications for that. I will have to look up the ones from last year because I don't recall the number off the top of my head.
Thank you, representatives. I would just remind, please utilize the hand raising feature over Zoom. Representative Burgess Farnan.
I guess in the same breath, when we talk about, again, the student activities fees, I don't see why it hurts to pass another resolution to reaffirm this support, I guess. So I don't see anything wrong with it personally.
Thank you. Any further questions, any further discussions or comments?
Out of curiosity, the other resolutions just like this, what happened to them? I mean, they didn't just disappear out of thin air, right? I mean, something must have happened. And I think that if we're gonna pass yet a fourth one, then I think we need some answers. Um,
Thank you. President Rallis?
Thank you, Amira. I just want to point out that SUNY, through their Office of Library and Information Services, has a pretty robust OER program. I've spoken with the representatives from that department a number of times this year, and they're doing really great work to expand OER services as much as possible. I encourage you all to check out the resources that are there if you haven't already. As for the resolution specifically, I think we should keep advocating for it. I think this resolution is asking for a specific $5 million funding pot. I can't say for sure if that's been asked for before. It sounds like that's something new. I would have to go back and look for more details about specifically what the current funding levels are for OER. But I just figured I'd give that context. You should definitely look into the OER resources we do have on the SUNY website.
Thank you. Any further discussion or comments on the resolution? Hearing no further discussion, we will proceed to a vote. Would the secretary please call the roll? President Rallis, do you still have your hand raised for a comment? Okay, thank you. Would the secretary please call the roll?
President Rallis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice President Coker, how do you vote?
Aye.
Secretary Richter, I will vote yay. Representative Vega, how do you vote? Representative Kelly Holler, how do you vote?
yes,
Representative Marrero Kepis, how do you vote? Representative Burgos Farnan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Representative Pastwick, how do you vote?
Aye.
Representative Bachulai, how do you vote?
Aye.
Representative Fanter, how do you vote? Representative Lau, how do you vote?
Yes.
Representative Sanford, how do you vote?
No.
Representative Duram, how do you vote? Representative Yevon, how do you vote?
Yes.
The vote is 12 affirmatives, 1 abstain, and 1 nay.
Thank you, Secretary Richter, and a vote of 12 to 1 to 1. The motion carries and the resolution is adopted. Moving down the agenda, we will now open the floor for public comment period. Are there any members of this body or guests in the audience who wish to address the committee? President Rallis?
I just want to thank Amira for chairing our final meeting, and thank all of you for coming today and for a great year, and wish best of luck to all of you in the future and also to our incoming executive committee. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, President Rallis. Any further public comments? Please raise.
I want to add that, as I look upon this past year and reflect on the things I've done and we as a body have done, I am in awe because there's not too many places with as large of a system as we have, with as much as a robust group of students working together towards a shared goal. So I thank you for letting me share my ideas, and I wish you all the best in your endeavors. This has been a very fruitful year for me, and I think I've served well, and I appreciate the time. I also wanted to add that us SUNY students, we're very busy people. Some may serve or may go into the military, some may have families in the military, some may have children, some may have sick parents. A lot of us have jobs. So it can be a very hard balance of responsibilities. And I just want to make sure that sometimes you can be like, oh, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? We have lives, you know. So just keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Any further comments? Representative Lau?
All right, well, I like to say from the bottom of my heart, whether or not I've known you personally or not, I'd like to say it's been such an amazing time being able to serve in SUNY SA with all of you, and I hope we can continue staying in touch. Thanks.
Thank you. Any further comments? Hearing none, I will now accept the motion to adjourn the meeting with unanimous consent.
That motion to adjourn the meeting.
First by Representative Lau, second by Representative Hanford. Thank you. Is there any dissent? Hearing none, the Executive Committee of the Student Assembly of the State University of New York stands adjourned at 6:52 p.m. until the 2026 to 2027 academic year. Thank you, everyone.